All right, how's it going?
Hey up.
It's episode 3 of No Frills Podcast.
Is it me forgetting?
Probably.
Wow.
I think time just got away, didn't it? Apologies for it taking so long for us to get a podcast out. We're supposed to do these 4th Friday of every month, but we missed one. You may have noticed we missed one. It was just basically life getting in the way and things, working out that way. We've, in case people didn't know, Si lives in Stoke, essentially, don't you? Which is like a city away from Derby, so it's a train ride, and I guess it's a bus ride to the station, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an hour and a half, 2 hour trip here and back. So you basically need a day.
You essentially need a day.
We did not have a day last month.
Yeah, because we used to record these in the morning and just drink tons and tons of coffee, but this is like the first evening one where we actually had beer and crisps. It feels a bit like...
It feels a bit more grown up.
No Frills After Dark. This is the 3rd episode. The difficult 3rd album. But no, it's... so it's a bit weird. I have to try and figure it out after night, because between our patterns, like I work not regular hours, but normal hours, and you work...
Nights. Shift work on nights, which is horrendous.
That's it. 7 on, 7 off is hard work. So between that, like finding a day on the week off is, difficult. But we're here.
We're here now. The long-awaited 3rd episode is in session. What do you want to talk about?
We mentioned Derby and Stoke, so we can mention you coming over here to do a gig the other night.
Oh, that absolute disaster that was. So we had a gig at the Hairy Dog, which is a venue just around the corner from where we're recording now, and it was with like one of my all-time favourite bands, Go On About. So it was a proper big thing for us. Like, we was really buzzing for it, proper excited.
Because they're like big band, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like big boys, absolute big boys. And yeah, we landed this support. So like, we had it booked for like 6 months. So like the whole year we've just been working towards like getting this smashed. And then we got there, we got set up, sound checked, which was nerve-wracking when you're in a room and all the only people in there was like your favourite band, knowing that they were looking at you and judging everything you're doing. And to be fair, the sound guy was all right. They're usually quite moody, but this chap was all right.
Yeah.
So we got all that done. After the night got started, then venue started filling up. We were on 3 songs in, and bass amp blew up. Like, just proper. There was a bang pop. There was smoke. It was just horrendous. We just all stopped and like stood there looking like absolute amateurs. Well, this sound guy just come on like proper flustered, looking around. He had a fire extinguisher in one hand and like a spare cables in the other, just like frantically trying to get it back going, but he was having none of it. So we ended up cutting our set short by about 20 minutes. I think we played about 4 or 5 songs, and just scarpered after that. It was absolutely gutted.
Was it like a proper, because you said to me, you were like, oh mate, it's a good job you didn't come down, because we played for 15 minutes and then the bass amp was on fire.
That was it. That was literally it, yeah. It just popped. Like, you looked over there, and like, the thing is, there's a smoke machine anyway, so you couldn't really see, you couldn't tell what was like life-threatening fire and what was just like a special effect.
It looked well mysterious.
But it was like a Rammstein show.
Proper flames and everything.
Yeah. There was like an orange, like, it was just, fire, smoke, and no bass sound.
And the sound guy with his little mini fire extinguisher.
We had in the end, we resolved it by having a double bass plugged straight through PA with no amp, which sounded absolutely gash. So we just literally, we played a couple of songs and just got out of there.
What did Go On About say? Did they say anything?
Well, no. So I don't think it's a good sign, is it, that? Usually they could, like, before that they were dead chatty, and after that they just avoided us. So it was all right. I think one of them, Pip, the singer, he's sort of like shared a few things on Facebook and Instagram or what have you afterwards. So I suppose that's a good sign. But yeah, just the curse continues. It's like the 3rd gig in a row where we've had like a major issue that's not really been our fault.
3rd in a row. What was the last 2?
The time before that, the actual PA itself went.
Actually stopped working.
Yeah, but PA in one of the, I don't know if it was in the mixer or in the head. I can't remember now. But the PA blew. I think it was just a fuse because that was only out for about 5 minutes. Then they got it back up.
Fixable.
But yeah, I want to add though, none of this has been our fault. The thing is, we've got another gig next week with King Kurt, who are another like household name if you live in a psychobilly house. And yeah, we're playing with them next week, and we're just dead nervous now, like wondering what's going to happen this time. The thing is, though, we've had the PA, we've had drum issues, we've had bass issues, so it's my turn this time.
Yeah, your guitar and vocal issues, you're going to be electrocuted or something.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
They say it comes in threes, don't they? People who count.
Well, they've been 3 now.
It's been 3.
Yeah.
My mum always used to say that to me when things were going. She's like, it all comes in 3. It could be like deaths, illnesses, fucking anything. She'd be like, oh yeah, it comes in 3s. I'm like, well, when you counting for? When you counting from? Like, it comes in 3s. I'm like 30 years old. It's been coming in fucking thousands. It ain't coming in 3s. It comes in 3s if you start counting from the last 3 minutes, maybe.
I don't know where do them sayings come from.
It's like old wives' tales, isn't it? I think maybe it has something to do with 3 being like a holy number, like a trinity number or something. I don't know. You get them in horror movies, don't you? It's always like 3 knocks or 3 whatever it is. It always comes in 3. She always used to say like, it comes in 3s. I'm like, from when? Like when was 3? Things going wrong all the time. It seems to be anyway. Maybe that was just me. Maybe everyone else has 3 things.
Yeah, just 3 obstacles to overcome.
3 obstacles, and I've been fucking having an extra ladle on, man. She used to say stuff like that. But then I'd mock her back by like saying like League of Gentlemen quotes and stuff like that. Like dumb stuff that sounds like it comes from like Tubbs and Edward or something like that. Something really funny. It's just like such a random one. People say all the time though, as if that's true. As if it's true.
If it's fact, like it's a solid fact. Comes in 3s. I don't get it. I don't get anything like that. Like I don't understand. Like even if you go back like way back when Superstition was really big, like how do people genuinely believe that because something bad happened, 2 more things are going to follow it? Yeah,
like you're just waiting. You're either like you're going to bring it on or it's not going to happen. It's just, all these old wives' tales are weird. It's always like I remember being young and buying a new pair of trainers and trying to lace them up by putting them on the table. And she just freaking out.
Yeah,
everyone hears that.
About that. Yeah, put new shoes on the table.
Why put your new shoes on the table? That was mad.
How is it bad luck?
Yeah. Well, if you tell me how it's bad luck, and then what happens if they're like...
They were on a table in the shop.
What happens if they're from a charity shop, so they're not new, they're second-hand shoes?
But the thing is, they're on a table in shops when you buy them.
Maybe it's just your table is bad luck. I don't know, I don't understand it, all those weird ones.
There's only 2 shoes as well, there's not 3.
There might be 6 shoes, there might be 3 pairs of shoes. It's bad luck. Yeah, there was all weird little old wives' tales like that. And there's always things like, don't tread on the cracks in the pavement.
To be fair, that absolutely ruined my childhood.
Everybody did that. And when you get those drains where there's 3 drains together, no one would tread on the third one.
No, you can't stand on them.
Why?
Because you're sick. Not an animal.
Well, you're fucking crazy. Why is that? Where did that even come from though? Because drains isn't even old enough to be superstitious.
I don't know.
That's just kids being silly.
It's like my granddad used to sing me a song when I was a kid. I really can't remember it, but it was something about standing on a crack and marrying a beetle or something, like just some ridiculous song.
That's weird.
And then that's just got in my head that you don't stand on the cracks, you don't stand on a 3 grid.
3 grid one's a weird one because that is a super modern one and everybody does it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be...
it's back to 3.
Yeah, back to 3s. Someone told me it was something to do with like mortality games, like facing mortality. Like dead weird. Like I've got to walk. Like some people would do games like I've got to get past that sign before that car comes, or like weird little things like that people do.
Yeah, that's like OCD. When I was a kid, I used to set the timer for 30 seconds on the microwave, and then be like, oh, if I can't run to the top of the stairs and grab this and get back and open the door before it pings, like, my family's gonna die.
That's mortality games. That's supposed to be how you cope with loss as a kid. That's a weird thing to do, but everyone did it. It was a weird thing. I used to sit like on the school bus. I used to sit on the back of the bus on the left-hand side, looking out the window. And I used to play this game where like I would imagine running alongside the bus and having to jump over the gaps in the pavement and like over the trees and stuff. So like I was like running as fast as the bus was running in my head and then jumping over. I was just like, what the fuck was I thinking about?
No, I wasn't that advanced when I was on the bus to school. I was just sat there pretending I was driving it.
I think I was probably about, I don't know, like 13. I don't know, when did you graduate to the back of the bus at high school? 13, maybe 14. Maybe some people never graduate to the back of the bus.
I was never cool enough to sit at the back of the bus.
Maybe I was cool enough.
I was always the one sat at the front holding my teacher's hand.
But I was telling someone at work about this as well, because it's like, sitting on the bus, I used to have a personal CD player, and before that, it was a tape player. So I used to make my own tapes from CD, like CDs were out then. Obviously, it was like 99 to 2004. CDs were out, but before I could afford a personal CD player. I had a personal tape player, so I used to tape my CDs onto tape, like mixtapes for myself, which is really sad.
I used to do that, but like I used to like skateboard and stuff. And if you've got a personal CD player, it skips all day.
Skip all the
but
time.
tape doesn't.
Yeah. Tapes don't.
So I stuck with tape, and then by the time that I was sort of like obviously a bit older, probably about 15, 16, minidisc was out.
I remember minidisc, but I didn't.
And I had a minidisc player. They were absolutely awful.
I do remember though.
Never caught on.
Minidisc being amazing for a couple of my friends. I think it may be the same gig. They went to go and see Eels, and the bootleg quality, because you could record straight to minidisc from some of the machines had like a mic in.
Yeah.
And the quality was amazing. And I remember being super impressed with the quality of this minute. Like he just managed to bootleg a gig, and I hadn't been to go and see Eels at the time, even though they were my favourite bands. But it was like he'd gone, and then the next day brought this minidisc in, and it was like that was the gig you were at. And I was like, fucking, I'm hearing it. It was like a Eels live album. Like it was amazing. Minidisc was crazy. I didn't have that.
Yeah, it was good minidisc. But I think it literally lasted about 6 months and then just died out, so it felt like anyway.
It reminds me of like the Sega Saturn of audio. Yeah, it just faded away, man.
It was so good though.
It was dead bizarre.
I used to have a Sega Saturn set up at my mum's. It must be one of my brothers or something. I know it wasn't mine. I used to have to sneak in to get on it, and it used to like, I'd be basically like on a school night, I'd wait till everyone's in bed and I'd sneak downstairs, and he had like a gaming chair with the pedals and the steering wheel. Nice. He used to play Sega Rally.
Sega Rally.
It was so good.
I remember that at the arcade, they used to have that 10-pin bowling. Before it was 10-pin, whenever it was called before. They used to have that. But a friend of mine at work is telling me about his kid. I think he's 8 years old now. And he's saying about, he's like, what? Like, he makes him come outside with him at the weekend and like mow the lawn and like help in the garden and stuff and get him out of the house. He thinks he's playing video games too much, but the amount that he's playing video games is nowhere near the amount that I used to play video games.
No, I was on it all the time. I was a proper weird kid though.
Yeah, I was with it.
I had but I used to like we didn't have the most money like when we were kids, so I never had all like the latest ones. I had a Sega Master System 2 that had Sonic built in it. Like you didn't even have to have a game in it, and I had that up until I was probably about 13, and then I got a PS1 and a PS2, PS1. And then obviously started like being able to get my own money a bit and saving up for stuff. But yeah, I used to batter that.
Yeah, I got a Master System afterwards, but I had a Mega Drive first.
See, I got a Mega Drive when the PS1 come out. The PS1 come out, my mate's got them, and I was like, no, I've got a Mega Drive. But to be fair, I love that.
Yeah, I still love Mega Drive.
RoboCop and Terminator.
Yeah, I remember the cover artwork for Sonic 2 with like Robotnik with the giant number 2.
Yeah.
I just think, God, it's going to be amazing. But I used to play that way more than this guy's son plays video games. I mean, even when I got to high school, I was on like sports teams and stuff, so I did level it out.
Yeah.
But even them early days, man, we would just play video games constantly. Like even PS1 era days, like '97, we used to play like Final Fantasy because my mate had a chipped PlayStation.
It's all about a chipped PlayStation.
Always had the chip shit. I never had it. I was never allowed it, but he did. And we just like max the clock out in Final Fantasy 7. The amount of hours that you can do, and just do crazy stuff. Like we'd just be in there forever. I remember once building a seat out of bourbon biscuits. We built a seat out of bourbon biscuits once at this same friend's house because he used to be amazing at maths. I remember him being amazing at maths because every Friday, him and his brothers and sisters used to go to their granddad's house after school, and his granddad would give him like maths puzzles to do for fun. Like they were really old school. So he was like amazing at maths. But their grandparents would spoil them by giving them loads of sweets and bits, like packets of bits, like just bags and bags of it to come home with for the next week. And they used to give them loads, at least 2 big packets of bourbon biscuits, and they hated them. They hated bourbon biscuits, and I used to love them. So when I go around, I'd be eating them while I'm playing games.
Yeah.
But one young boy can't eat that many bourbon biscuits. Well, he can, but not as many as they were being given. So we ended up making a small seat out of bourbon biscuits, like stacking them all up like a big square seat, and sitting on it while playing Final Fantasy 7. I remember that being like a crazy time in my childhood, and I think about that, and this guy at work is like, oh yeah, my son plays games like a few hours a day, and I get him outside at the weekends.
What? Noob, and he used to up them times.
That's it. It wasn't pro gamers. We weren't doing it to get anywhere. We were just doing it to escape how poor we were. Yeah, it was the same. That was the same kid whose dad inadvertently introduced me to Bob Ross because his mum and dad were a bit weird, and they were like, his dad fancied himself as a bit of a painter, and he used to build like not Hornby train sets, but really similar. But he'd build them from scratch and sell like his custom stuff, like at exhibitions and stuff. So when you walked in their front door, it was like there was like a dead small kitchen, then down into the lounge. And in the living room, there was his side of the room was like a big desk, like huge desk with all the painting stuff on, all the making the models and everything. And the TV was right there. And they had Sky. He was one of the first people I knew who had Sky. And across the other side of the room was a couch. And next to the couch was a small TV. And we'd play video games on the small TV. Even back to like Commodore, like really old games. But when it wasn't your turn, you'd sit and watch whatever was on the big TV that the dad was listening to. And that was usually Bob Ross.
See, that's a weird setup. Just start watching Bob Ross painting yourself. Like, it's a bit creepy.
Yeah, but you're sitting there because obviously you were supposed to paint along with Bob Ross, and no one I knew ever painted along with Bob Ross. Like, as an adult, I'm like, who the hell was doing that? But I was like, Jeff Gill. Jeff Gill was painting along to Bob Ross. And he was like, that was the guy, and that was before I even knew who he was. And so from a kid, I was like obsessed with like Bob Ross and just being like well into it, but not knowing really who he was.
Yeah.
And then now there's been like a resurgence, there's memes and things coming out in there, like he's like a big deal.
I think it stems from Peep Show.
Yeah, it does.
It's God, wasn't he?
He was a god in Peep Show, wasn't he? Let's ask God. It's like, oh, we'll have, what is it like if he's that decided to like pizza and Chinese food? Yeah. He's like, well, if God's painting mountains and sky, it'll be pizza. If he's doing like trees and critters, it'll be like Chinese food or whatever. Oh man. But that was way before the internet. And I remember trying to find him before YouTube, before any of this stuff, and you couldn't find him anywhere.
No.
And now he's everywhere. I'd love it if he was still alive.
I didn't know he was. Is he?
He's been dead for years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But it was like he's done like 30 seasons of that show. There's 30 seasons of him, half an hour at a time.
Who kept renewing it? Like,
just popular.
Not many people could have been watching that.
Well, it was on CBS. Like I remember him being on CBS because he would say at the beginning, "Thank you very much for tuning in. Da, da, da. Please, if you like what we're doing, write to CBS and tell us to keep renewing."
Oh, that's a question answered then.
That's it. I just remember that being like in some of the episodes where he'd be like, "Oh yeah, please." But that was just a guy in his basement. Like that was in his basement, and he'd just paint mad stuff. He used to blag my head. You'd be watching it, and you'd be like, "Oh, he's getting that roll on the palette knife. Oh, that's cool. That's cool." And then he's like, "Oh, just make sure there's a little roll on the edge." He'd do that weird thing with his hand, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's a mountain." And it's better than anything I've ever painted in my life. And he's just like, "There you go, a little bit of that." Like, well, how have you made that? Or you'd be doing something, and you're like, your eyes would readjust while he was doing it, like a magic eye. You'd like your eyes would readjust, and you go, "Oh, that's the best grass I've ever seen in my life." That looks better than real grass. There's the grass outside in Derby that doesn't look as good as a Bob Ross painting. The best bit was when we used to paint the lakes.
Yeah,
that bit, and he used to just drag the paint down like perfect reflections and go across with it. I used to blag my, that just blew my mind when I was a kid. Obviously, I was supposed to be playing video games, but I was taking time out to play between playing video games to watch Bob Ross, but not knowing who he was. But yeah, and again, this guy at work thinks his kid's playing too much video games, but we used to play far more, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although the freaky thing, I don't know if you must see this too, is that young kids have way better technology now.
Yeah.
Even like my niece is like 2.5, has known how to use a phone for ages.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? I mean, like my first phone was a Nokia 3310.
Yeah, I think mine was probably, a 3330 was like a white version.
Well, when I had the 3310, it had Snake on it. Mm-hmm. And like I was the bollocks because I was the only one at my like little friend group that had a game on my phone. Mm-hmm. And like it's just crazy now. Like you can play PUBG on your phone. Yeah. And like some of the games like Pokemon Go, I know it's not like the coolest thing to be into, but like the technology in it is incredible. And that's just on your phone. Yeah. A free download. Like it's just mad, isn't it?
It's all there.
How different it had been. How different do you reckon we would have turned out if we had access to all that as kids?
That's it, because if you were playing video games, you were in playing video games. You couldn't go anywhere else with it. No. Like a Nintendo, where you could take it around with you like you do now. Even Game Boy was way too expensive.
Oh, LAN parties though. Did you ever do them?
We did LAN parties. We did do that when you got old enough to have it. But I used to do it. I used to get told off because we did it on the family computer. We had one computer in the family, and that was the one I used to do LAN parties with.
What game?
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, always Counter-Strike.
Oh, no, Wolfenstein as well.
Do you have Wolfenstein?
No, I never played Wolfenstein.
It was like, we used to always download it in the IT lab in school. We used to just, like, as soon as you had a supply teacher, like, you knew everyone was downloading Wolfenstein. Yeah. We'd all go on, it was free download. And we'd download it. And the class was like, it had like a divide in the middle of it, and there was a room on each side of a wall with a door joining too.
That's cool.
And like, there was one teacher that was flitting between the two classes, like giving us a task to do.
Easy to get away with that, isn't it?
You had a substitute, it'd literally be like Form A and Form B, like, we're one team, you're being the Germans. Let's fight this out.
It was a fight to not be the Germans.
Absolute carnage. It was mental.
That was different era though, wasn't it? Like there was. I mean, I used to get told off all the time for using the home computer for playing video games on. And I was only allowed a couple of games on the computer. So, and computers weren't fast then either. It wasn't like crazy amazing games. It'd be something like really old, or it'd be like Counter-Strike or Unreal Tournament or something like that. I think I got Unreal Tournament free with the PC.
GTA London as well, I used to play on the PC. Top down, great game.
Top down. But those games, I remember my dad being really annoyed, and he's like, "You're slowing this computer down by putting all your games on and doing this and that." Meanwhile, like cut to 2018, my 2011 Mac still runs like new.
Yeah. You're out there fixing your computer every weekend.
Within a year of him having his MacBook, it's just crashed. It's slow. He's got every taskbar that has ever been downloaded. Basically, the screen's full of taskbar. Like, he just can't do anything. He's like...
proper dad computer.
That's it, a proper dad computer. And he always used to blame me as a kid. I'm like, it wasn't me. It never was me. And he was like, no, I know it was him. I know it was him. Because like, if anything comes up, he's like, oh, would you like the taskbar? And I was like, oh, yeah, go on. Like that. What times of the weather? Brilliant. You know, click. And he's like... You could tell him anything. If it was a pop-up that said, your computer's looking like it's running slow, and he'd be like, okay, tell me more. And click it. And you're like, well, now, like, what have you got now?
Trying to download more RAM.
You got the computer aids. That was even worse. I used to make it sound like it wasn't LimeWire and BearShare. Remember all those?
Oh, BearShare, eDonkey.
Yeah, all those. I had to make sure. I was like, it wasn't that making the computer dead. It was, and then years later, I'm validated that it's actually his modern computer with none of that stuff on is completely fucked, and mine is completely fine. But LimeWire was definitely killing computers.
Oh, it was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. And like whenever a film come out, there'd be like a version of like a video file basically named that film, like, and you download it thinking, oh, I'm going to watch this film before everyone else. You download it, and it'd just be a video of like some woman like shagging a horse or something.
Yeah, it was just horrible things like with the right file name.
The original Rick Rowling.
Yeah,
just like getting tricked into watching some awful video.
I remember watching someone like, it was like a part of remember the Pain Olympics, that weird video that went around.
Horrible.
It was a part of that, and it was like downloaded. I downloaded it as something else. It was like a music video. It was like something like "Damn It" by Blink-182 that I wanted, something like that. It was that era. And it ended up being that, and I was like, "This is weird." Like, it's not like torrenting, is it? Like torrenting, where it gets bits from everywhere.
The thing is, though, if that was like when we sort of first started getting sort of access to the internet, and we were getting stuff like that, we were a lot older than people are now. Like the kids are now who have access to the internet.
Yeah.
Like my niece is 7, and she's got an iPhone. Like she's got the same access to a computer to the internet that like we'd have on a computer. And I think that's like proper bad. Like, it makes you wonder like what sort of stuff they're seeing.
It must be seeing a lot. But here's the thing: do they know more? Because they've got like, imagine when you were younger, right? You wanted to research something. You had to go on Encarta.
Oh, do you remember that?
Yeah, you had to go on Encarta because the internet was too slow. Either you didn't have the internet, or you had to go on the internet, and the internet was terrible.
Encarta.
You couldn't just go on Wikipedia. You couldn't just go on YouTube. You couldn't do anything. You had to load Encarta, and that would go out of date every year. Do you remember Encarta?
Yeah, and that's the first time I've heard that word in about probably 15 years. Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but they've got all the knowledge in their pockets, and they seem to know less.
Yeah.
Even going back to like consoles, even though my first console in the right age, even though I was dead young, was Mega Drive, I still know what like an Atari was. I still knew what a Commodore was.
Yeah.
I know what all that stuff. But the kids when I was teaching, their first console was like a PS3. Like PS2 to them was vintage.
Yeah.
So the PS3 was the first one, but they didn't know what a Sega Mega Drive was.
It's scary.
How did you not know? You've got more access to any of this information.
It's like when we first got our first computer and we was on dial-up internet, and it was everything was just shite. And we got that computer, and the first thing I did was learn how that was like, we had a family computer. The first thing I did was learn how to make my own computer.
Yeah.
And then I use that, obviously use the internet to learn how to do that. Then I was learning how to speed things up, how to fix things when it broke.
Yeah.
Then I was learning like how to get games and how to get them running, what parts you needed to get them to play it.
Yeah.
And I used it to like learn sort of everything that I know now.
Yeah.
But like kids nowadays, they've got access to the internet and they just use it to send their mates a picture of themselves with a dog ear filter on and stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's weird.
It's mad. It's proper crazy.
I remember like when I finally could afford the first computer I ever bought was like the first one after the family computer was a bit crap. But then I remember when I was at college, I built my own computer out of parts. So using the slow dial-up internet from my computer that I'd bought, I researched what I'd need to make my own. I remember needing like special gloves and being like anti-static.
Yeah.
I remember
all that. Yeah. Used to do that.
My mum being like, what are you doing on the kitchen table right now? I'm like, Mum, I'm just building this computer right now. I'm touching the radiator to ground me and doing this. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, just. But I don't think that's not a thing now. It's like, even though I was saying like my MacBook is 2011, it's one of the last ones that you can actually open the back and have individual parts.
Yeah.
So I've been able to fix it because you can pick the parts for it. But like this iPhone here, you can't even open it.
Yeah.
I miss that, man.
Just doing everything down, aren't they?
Everything. So you don't
down.
need to know how to do anything because you can't do anything
You just
with
chuck it away and get a new one.
You've got to throw it away. And then Apple get busted for slowing it down. Like remember they got busted for slowing all the batteries down and everything. And you're like, well, you just have to throw it away and no one knows how to fix anything. I remember having to fix stuff like that and just being like, I remember my Samsung was amazing because you could open the back. If the battery broke, you just bought another battery.
Yeah.
And the battery was like 15 quid. Or it came with like 32 gigs of space, which is way more than my iPhone. And then you could put extra in.
Oh, I don't even think I can open this up.
Maybe
No,
not.
mine doesn't open either.
Doesn't it?
No, I always thought Android, like most Androids, you could open up. But I've said that the new Samsungs don't, do they? They're all like them glass
I
bodies and
haven't
everything.
seen them, yeah, because they've got that weird thing all the way around.
Like my wife's got one and it's fully glass and there's just like a metal strip around the sides. I'm like gesturing with my hands here and just realised now no one can see what I'm doing.
That's it. One day we'll film it and you can do that gesture.
But yeah, it's a weird phone that though.
But there's actually everything's just way more advanced than we would ever have imagined.
I remember having a conversation with a school friend when I had I can't remember what phone it was now, like a 6210 or something, a Nokia one, and it had polyphonic ringtones.
Yes.
And you know, you had that composer and you'd have to put all the bits in to do it.
Put the notes in.
And I remember it had polyphonic ringtones and I made a ringtone of Motivation by Sum 41. And I remember I did a bass line and I did like the guitar riff and I thought I was the bollocks when I had that. And I showed it to my mate and he was like, one day I reckon you'll be able to have the actual song as your ringtone. And I was like, shut up, that's never going to happen.
Not. How can you have
behave yourself? Song? And then like, look at it now.
Yeah, you can have whatever you want.
But he got ridiculed when he come out with that though in school. Everyone was like, shut up, you dreamer. And then it's ended up probably about 2 years later, realistically. The iPhone come out.
That's it. I remember it being like 1999 and someone being like, there's going to be flying cars in the year 2000. I'm like, where? Like, you've never seen a flying car. Like, people still driving Ford Fiestas and you reckon there's going to be a flying car. Like, what are you talking about? And then they'd be like, meanwhile, you're over. One day there'll be an actual song as a ringtone. You're like, shut up. That's unbelievable. My friends were obviously dreaming big dreams. Like, there's going to be flying cars. There isn't. There's not. This is proper funny. And I remember, because you remember when you used to read magazines too, you'd open the magazine and at the back there'd be a page of graphics you could buy for your phone. It was like, have this, and it was like, that would come up instead of orange, or that would be your ringtone.
They were always shit as well.
Oh, they were so
like proper
bad.
pixelated, blocky.
And there was like pixelated paw, like pixelated boobs and stuff you could have on the screen. I remember pixelated boobs. I remember an orange with a face. I had an orange with a face, even though you couldn't have colour on the screen. It was just dot matrix or whatever. But kids that know they're born. This is in fact this is what I said to my friend because I was telling him about all this because he was saying about his kid gaming, and I was saying, look, when I had a family computer, do you know how close I got to getting not caught with porn? But I remember trying to download a picture of Jane Middlemiss. Do you remember her from Live and Kicking?
Yeah.
In underwear. Right, she's in red underwear. I printed it black and white with our home printer. It took so long to download the picture and so long to print it out that I was pacing around, making sure no one was coming in the living room, like dodging around, making sure no one was coming in. For a picture of Jane Middlemiss that was printed on the world's crappiest printer. It was like, you may as well have just drawn her. It would have been better, the quality. And I just think now, like, what can you see on an iPhone?
Yeah.
Do parents know how to lock those things down? Because that would be
absolutely
insane.
Not.
My parents wouldn't have known.
No.
They had no idea. You'd be like, all right, you got this. Yeah, okay, you got a shared computer, right? Okay, but there was always ways around it. There's always ways to delete your history or whatever.
Detail on everything.
They had no idea. Kids now don't. They don't know how they're born. They don't know.
It just reminds me as well. I know there's a story. Obviously, I weren't there, but there's a story that my mum always told me when I was a kid, where when I was a kid, I couldn't, like you said before about people not understanding previous technology.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. That like when CDs come out, that like people just didn't know how to use them. Like obviously you put it in the tray, don't you?
Yeah.
And I remember when my mum bought my granddad his first CD, and she bought him like a stack system. Do you remember stack systems?
Yeah.
She bought him a stack system and a few CDs, and the first thing he did was put it on the record turntable and put the needle on top of the CD. Just scratched it. So fuck.
Oh man. Oh. That's like, you see those videos of kids, don't you? And it's like, they give them a tape player.
Yeah.
Like, what's this? You're like, what do you mean, what's this? And they try and put something like, what is that? Do I put something in? You're like, yeah. And they just don't know what it is. That's like that. That's funny, man. It's wrecking CDs by putting the needle on it. I think that's something that my parents might do. But now we haven't got that. Because we're like tech savvy. And then like the next generation are even more tech savvy.
Yeah. But it's like with tech savvy, but they're trying not to, like you said about like not being able to open stuff up and fix it yourself. They're trying for us not to be as tech savvy.
Yeah.
Because it costs, well, it saves us money and obviously stops them flogging stuff, doesn't it? It definitely weren't like that. Like fixing stuff yourself and buying parts and doing things, like it was properly encouraged, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's the way you could afford it. You couldn't afford anything. Like everything cost so much money. I remember that old computer that we put, first family computer. It cost a fortune.
Yeah.
And it, by today's standards, it was...
What operating system was it?
Windows Millennium Edition.
Millennium
Edition.
Wow, that's fancy.
Yeah.
I had 98 on my first one.
I remember we had 98 at school. And we had 95 before that. We had one computer in primary school. One computer, and it had that on it.
We had Windows 98, and he had a copy of Paint Shop Pro. And it had like it was like a 3D gradient tube thing, and if you like move the mouse around, it used to have really bad latency where the line would take ages catching up, and you could probably crash your computer by like vibrating the mouse. Yeah. Oh, it was a ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous computer, and it cost me mum a fortune as well at the time.
It was way too much money. I remember being like, you'd be like, what can we do? We'll open Paint, get the pen tool, scribble everywhere,
and colour it all in.
Colour
it in different colours
with the fill tool. And you did that because there was nothing else.
No, that was your entertainment. If I think was it Millennium where they introduced the pinball game?
Yes,
pinball was
pinball
was mint. That's going back to just gaming as a kid. How long do you spent on that?
A long time. That became a resurgence when I was at college. So in 2004, 2005, when we went to college, and we had laptops with probably XP, maybe Vista if you were fancy.
Vista, wow.
Yeah, that game had a resurgence. It's like, who could have the best high score? And we'd get home, play the game, send it to your mate, and they'd swear blind that you'd photoshopped it. They'd be like, no, that's not the right score. That's not the right score. I've got the right score. And you'd send it, and you'd be like, that's not the score. And you keep going back. Who could get the best score on pinball, even though the game was old as hell by that point. It was just funny because that was just,
Just remember as well when we got our first proper computer, like the first decent one that had the internet. With that 98 one didn't have the internet on it. No. We got this computer with Windows XP on it that had, obviously we had the internet at that point. And my mum got really into playing solitaire on the computer.
My mum did as well.
But to the point where she'd have a brew resting on a pack of cards as a coaster, and she's playing solitaire on the computer. And we're like, Mum, we need to do my homework. And she's like, no, I'm doing this.
Playing solitaire. There's a pack of cards right there. No, this is it. Yeah, solitaire and spider solitaire. I remember thinking it's well fancy. You could choose what the backs of the cards look like.
Oh yeah, my man was blown when I found that out.
Fully customizable.
Customize your character.
That's it. That you think now, and we play Fallout now. You spend all them hours on Fallout, and you're just like, and people moan at the little bits in Fallout that aren't right. They don't. Yeah. For me, I see it. It just makes me laugh. I'm like, oh, that'll get changed. There'll be a development point.
Yeah.
But you just think that back then, that was fully customizable. Was changing the back of your deck in solitaire. That's crazy.
And then they one up that, and you could change the mat you were playing on.
Yeah. Choose the colour. Choose the colour.
Jeez, I had a nice wood grain texture pack for mine.
I bet that was like an extra thing, but not like a downloadable extra like EA do, where it cost you like an extra £7.
No, it was just there was a store. I think I can't remember. Oh, Minesweeper as well.
Minesweeper, that was on the original. I remember that
was
being at
the
school
most
as well, and
frustrating
no one
game
knew
in the
how
world.
to play it.
No one knew how to play it.
I was trying to work it out. What was it last minute? If you clicked, there was that many bombs around that area in the surrounding squares, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they click around without hitting the mines, which I always thought was weird because you're like, it's called Minesweeper, shouldn't you be finding the mines?
You're supposed to flag them.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to flag.
You had to flag all the mines without blowing them up.
To guess where they were. God, that game's nails, man. Did anyone ever play that game? And
I was quite good at that. I did got really into that. But that was literally all they had for a bit.
And it was all grey, wasn't it?
Yeah, just a grey screen with a terrible like raised button kind of things where they just put a dark line at the bottom and a white line at the side to make it look 3D.
Yeah. The light's coming from this way, which means the shadows going there. That's definitely 3D. Don't you dare tell us otherwise. Yeah, I remember Minesweeper. Minesweeper was that. I remember having no idea how that worked at school.
Yeah, it was very difficult.
It was that was one of the tougher ones. Apart from me, we should prefer paint and the squiggle colour. And now you can just do whatever on your phone. You've got way more. iPads do way more. Anything that fits in your pocket does way more than even that.
The thing is, a smartphone as well. Everyone's got one. Yeah. I do not know a single human with it that doesn't own a smartphone.
I remember Joe Rogan saying for a while that, a couple of years ago, that Ari Shaffir, another comedian, had gone back to flip phone. He was like, I'm having it. He moved to New York and became hipster basically, but he was just like, I've had enough. I've had enough of having a check-in and constantly being on social media. I'll check it when I get back on my MacBook or his laptop or whatever. And then he just goes, flip phone. You call me or you text me and that's it. And I remember being like kind of envious when they're thinking, how boring would that be taking a shit?
Going back to reading shampoo bottles.
That's where I feel like, I remember before even this was out, I remember having like my first car's Haynes manual next to the toilet so I could read how to fix my car while I was taking a dump. But now I guess there's nothing. You don't read anything on the toilet apart from your phone.
Go to the toilet, have a quick game of PUBG.
That's it.
Up there for 45 minutes, I am.
Quick game of PUBG, quick having a look around, rather than back in the day where you'd be like reading the back of the aerosol bottle, like the air freshener. You'd be like, oh, it contains CFCs, look. Like, this is like reading the ingredients because there's nothing else to read. Reading the back of the toothpaste. Nothing else to do. But now you can do it all. You can just read on the toilet. It's amazing.
Crazy.
That's it. All this technology, and all you can do is read on the toilet and send your friends.
Or make a podcast.
Or make a podcast and talk about it. Speaking of those dog pictures, I was talking to my friend at work, this guy whose son thinks he plays too many video games and doesn't. We were talking about Tinder because I was telling him about your mate and the painting from the last
gold.
I was telling him about the last episode. We were talking about Tinder, and I was saying that when I was at my old work, we would try and complete it. So we'd open Tinder at Langley Mill in Derby, where I used to work, and we'd have like set rules. So my own personal rules, dating wise, would be if there's a group picture or a picture of several girls in every picture, that's a no, because you can never tell which one it was.
Yep.
So it'd just be no. Any Snapchat filters would be a no. If they had full-time at Yummy Mummy as their job title, that would be a no.
Nope.
And we'd have these little restrictions, and then you'd see if you could get through everyone without a match. That would be the game. You just see if you can get through people without matching. She'd be like, oh, she's good looking. Yes. Yummy Mummy. No. Group picture. No. And we just like at lunchtime try and complete Tinder. I was trying to tell him that, but that came off the back of me telling him about your friend getting painted at work, and he was equally horrified about you.
It was quality that.
About your friend getting. He was just like, I was trying to tell him, and I was telling him different to how you told it, because he was like proper, like waiting for every word, like what was in the box, man. Like, it's like I painted it like it was like 7. He's like, what's in the box? What's in the box? Like, gonna feel like it's easel, and then and he was just falling about. He's before all that. He's met his wife before Tinder, before internet dating, before all that stuff. So he met his wife by going to an actual place and meeting actual people.
Old school.
So he missed all that. So I was telling him all these stories about Tinder and bits and pieces. We ended up talking about dogging, which I thought was just a thing local to where I was from, because Cannock Shakes is where it was invented. But I had no idea it was so big.
Dogging. It's rife in the country.
I don't know if it is. Is it now in the age of Tinder? Is it? Can you just do it? Really?
Big hill near where I live. Honestly, like Dogging Lane, they call it. It's just like this big hill where there's like, it's all farms around it, so there's no like no street lights and stuff. You drive past there at night on a weekend, you're guaranteed to see a couple of cars parked up in a lay-by all with the lights off. Steamy windows.
For the interest of people listening who might not be from England,
you have to explain what dogging is.
Dogging was a practice invented in Cannock, which is basically the next town from where I was from, where you would drive your car to this place called Cannock Chase, which was like 26 square miles of like just countryside.
Yeah.
And there would be random car parks, like parking lots, where you could pull up and go on these walks and go through all the wilderness. But at night, people would pull up in cars and basically just have sex with strangers. And there's a whole ton of etiquette. There was flashing lights to invite people over.
Yeah,
there was all sorts of weird stuff that would happen.
And you could but there'd be two people like probably getting it on in a car, and there'd be like four blokes stood around the car.
Yeah. There'd be people having sex in the car, and people in the parking lot would watch inside the car. So that's what dogging is. I ended up talking about that, and him talking about, he was telling me earlier on that his friend, obviously I'm keeping all this anonymous, his friend, although married, was a petrol head. So would go to these places and they would have these car meets in places. At one point, he went to what he thought was a car meet, pre-internet. And it was actually a dogging meet. And so he's there to go and see car engines and talk cars. And he said his friend got invited to look in the back of this van where this woman was getting boned in the back of a van. He's like, do you fancy to go on this? He's like, oh no, I can't, mate. I can't. I'm married and I'm here to see actual cars. Completely innocently. And then went home. But obviously pre-internet wasn't able to research it. So in his head, that just blew his mind. Like there was an entire subculture of secret public sex that he wasn't aware of. And for about 3 years, had extracurricular dogging sex that his wife has no idea about, because he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to a car meet, and then just go off.
You just got dead obsessed with it.
Yeah. Obviously, I have no idea who this guy is. He's a friend of a friend, and I don't, no names mentioned, but until recently was into it.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so we were talking about this today and about dating. He's like, oh, well. And so he was saying that when this guy had done this and then discovered what he thought was a landmark discovery for him, went back to those guys, including this guy that I work with, and was like, oh, by the way, I found this. I found this hobby, right? And so him and a few guys took a car down to wherever this place was. After this guy had become obsessed with it, and so they were going there. And in your head, I don't know whether it because we're just jaded by pornography, but in my head, when I think of it, it'd be amazing women. And cars would be like, it'd be amazing. But then he's saying that he turned up and there's this grotty car and this haggard couple is in his car. Like the guys in the front seat just looking like, he said it looked like the guy who keeps the toads on League of Gentlemen. The guys in the front seat of the car, his wife is on the back seat, with two guys either side of her, touching her and fiddling her. And he says they looked in the door, they looked in the window, and she was like haggard. And they were looking. Oh, man. Oh, man, it's done me. Oh, shit. Oh man. They were I'm crying. They were looking around and they're looking at each other going, this is not what we thought it was going to be. This is absolutely disgusting. When the one guy who'd been there before was like, these guys aren't doing it right, pushed them apart and jumped in the back of the car. And just started having it off with this haggard woman, just so he could tick it off and say that he'd been. It was like, that's so fucking horrible.
That's great.
In your head, you just think it's going to be amazing. And he says that he got there and this woman was horrible and these guys were they were looking at each other like, this is the worst thing ever. Let's go home. And the mate at the back, unbeknownst to them, was like, licking his lips like, they ain't doing it right. You're out the way, lads, I'm diving in. This 6'4" bloke gets in the back of this tiny car and starts having it off with this guy's wife. While the guy's on the front seat.
Right, on that note, I think that's the end of episode 3.
Cool.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.